laundry cycle. We're pausing the podcast for a laundry cycle. Let the record show. This is the Drop Podcast, where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Kulat.
What's up, guys? Really appreciate, again, a good week of likes, comments, a lot of positive feedback. Continue throwing that at us. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, on YouTube at TheDROPGolfPodcast, and same thing on Spotify, The Drop Golf Podcast.
This episode is being presented by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger, attorneys at law.
So our first sponsor. Really appreciate that, guys. As we said last week, if anyone else is interested in getting involved somehow, we threw out another Mike verse this week. We had a weekly work. We got more stuff coming out. If anyone is interested in getting involved, certainly let us know. DM us, email us, however you need to. If you are interested, certainly reach out to us.
Yeah, no doubt. We appreciate that. I mean, this past week, it's been unbelievable. Instagram has really blown up, nearly 200 followers just there alone. Already over 50 subscribers on YouTube in less than 2 weeks. Obviously we can't thank you guys enough. And then when it comes to the analytics and the results on Spotify as well, people are listening, and we appreciate that. We weren't sure how this was going to go, but clearly it's going in a very positive way, and that's all kudos to you guys. So, we appreciate it, and we'll keep it going. We'll keep grinding.
Just a couple of housekeeping items. We've gotten a couple updates. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this pod talking about these because we got something really special for you guys. But we're thinking we've gotten a couple updates on the number of golf courses in New Jersey. We're thinking the total. I misspoke. Reading is really tough. I think there's 287 total golf courses in New Jersey. As Mike was in touch with someone who's kind of on a similar trajectory or what he's been trying to do. He's been trying to play every public course in New Jersey over the last couple of years, and he's been blogging about it. I guess he started as a blog, but Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about that, kind of those updates from this week?
Yeah, just like anything, when you dive into the social media world, you start to meet different people. You learn different things, and this guy came across is on a similar journey that we are. His is a little different in terms of how he's going about it. He's blogging it, he's tweeting about it, and we're here to talk about it. So one of the things I did when we were communicating is finding ways that we can reach out and we can collaborate and we can talk to him. So what he had informed me was that there's 174 public/semi-private golf courses in the state of New Jersey. And he's on a mission since, I believe, either 2015 or 2016 to play all of them. And on his blog, he journeys his way, and he kind of writes about his way. And he's got 3 left on his journey to complete this 174. And I know that from when I was speaking to him last night, he was playing another one today, which is obviously Sunday when we're recording this. So he was getting out there, so we would leave him 2 left. And we were kind of picking his brain, so we're hoping to get him on as a guest on our podcast when he completes either all of them or some in the area. So, that's just more information that we're finding out, and that's the things that we like about this is no matter what, even if we're not right, someone's there to correct us, because like we've been saying from the beginning, this is not going to be a polished product. There'll be speed bumps throughout the way, and we'll improve as we go. And this is just another thing. He's got his resources in terms of national. His term as to where he found it all was someone at the National Golf Foundation validated his list, and he's 99% certain on that number, and I trust him. So I think that's where we're at in terms of going on our little journey as well. So it's good info, and if anybody else is out there to correct that, listen. Let's hear it, because I'm sure he'd like to make sure he can check all his boxes and play in all of them as well.
Yeah. And I think that's for me, Mike, when you were saying that, that's the craziest part for me was that we have enough people listening to this, and not like my brother, your brother, like our parents, like actual people are listening to this and like feeding back information is crazy to me. That it's already, again, with this being the third episode, is wild. So so keep those kind of constructive things coming in. No doubt that's helpful. But for sure, that was certainly awesome. The other greenskeeping bit that came out of this week was golf course rankings. A lot of feedback on that. I'd like to point out, at least Mike, I looked at that as, hey, I came up with these categories and we hashed out some of those categories. I didn't think we were done. That wasn't like our finished product, in my opinion. I thought we were going to come back to it, kind of think about it again, and maybe without even realizing, let our listeners comment on it. And we got a ton of comments on everything from Ryan's a dumbass for having the golf cart be a thing, to constructive stuff with like people sending in pictures of like, hey, I hashed this out with kind of your thing. Maybe this is going to work a little bit better. We got to 100 points. So we got a bunch of different stuff there that, again, we're not going to get into this week, but we certainly will in the next couple. But again, that was like, if that wasn't the end all be all, I didn't think, after the last podcast. So that's kind of a little bit of recap from last week, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I don't think it was 100% done. And did we ramble on about some topics? Maybe so. But when you're hashing things out in a live format fashion like we were, you get kind of going a little bit. And I think we are on the right path. It's nice to hear that the listeners are listening to the whole thing, and they want, some feedback as well. And they want to put their 2 cents in, because we like that. Good, bad, or indifferent. I think that's how you make it the best, because clearly one way is not always the best way. So all the feedback, in my eyes, I liked it, even if I didn't agree with it all, because it made me think differently a little bit. So it was good. And yes, like Ryan's saying, it is not done. It's still a work in progress. But I think in the next episodes, or, 1, 2, whatever it takes us, you'll see where we're at and what we've come up with.
And I definitely want to, like, at some point we'll post like, hey, this is our final, like, what we came up with. We'll post a picture, we'll throw it up on our Instagram and our Twitter. Both of those are at TheDROP_pod. And some point, a final picture will be up there. So for the rest of the episode, you guys are going to listen to something that we're super excited for. We had the opportunity to talk to Corey Brigham, graduate of Rumson Fairhaven High School, Hall of Fame at Rumson. He won a number of tournaments in high school, played professional golf, 2022 NJSGA Public Links Champion, and an overall great dude. It was an awesome interview. We went for about an hour, and it was incredible. And we're going to send that to the interview.
Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of wrap that up about Corey, when we reached out, I said, would you love to be our first interview on the podcast? He was all about it. And I think when you're talking about public golf in the state of New Jersey, who better to have on there than this year's reigning, 2022 NJSGA Public Links Champion, that not only did he, go out in that final round and fire a smooth 6 under 66, but you'll hear in the interview, he thought it could be even lower. So we're excited to have him on, and I think the stories that he shares and any tidbit that you can grab from him is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, his wealth of knowledge is endless. He's a guy who's born into the game and just been doing it forever, and we're going to get into it in the episode. But it's an incredible interview. Hope you like it. Enjoy.
I think you're a perfect person to start as our first guest.
All right.
I do. So
I can live up to the billing.
No doubt, dude. No doubt. I mean, I say that because a lot, obviously, growing up in the Shore Conference and playing a lot of golf in the area, your name always rang a bell. And then obviously, the goal here, as Ryan and I will talk about, is golfing in the Garden State. And I think there's an area for us and some space to occupy when it comes to not only playing golf and talking golf, but really experiencing this whole state. And I think having someone like you that legit just won the New Jersey State Public Links, we couldn't ask for a better person to start this whole thing.
Sweet.
Because that's the idea is let's reach as many golfers and as many people as we can and play all the different spots. And when you occupy, in our eyes, that title, why not start with you? So I appreciate you stepping on and coming on here. And
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm happy to be here. I mean, it's cool what you guys are doing. I'm a big fan of Jersey golf, so I spent my whole life here. It's kind of like a lot of hidden gems out there, as you probably know, that most people are not even aware of.
No doubt there. Yeah, Cor, I'm gonna jump on Mike there and just say same thing. Like, thank you for coming on. I know he said same for both of us. I know I don't know you. The one thing I do know about you, I don't really like about you, but anything else that I'm an RBR guy. So.
Okay, all right. Hey, man, listen. Well, I don't know if the rivalry is still the same as it used to be, but the Battle of Ridge Road was a real thing back in the day.
For sure.
It still is.
Yeah.
Is it still?
It's
okay.
Still,
cool.
Yeah, it's still brutal.
Okay.
I graduated 2004 from there, so I've been coaching there since 2007. So yeah, that rivalry is still very real.
Cool, man. So I don't know. I got a fun fact. I don't know how much you knew about our basketball team when I was in high school, but we're decent for RFH. I mean, we're not Shempy's team and all that fun stuff he's got going on. We were just a bunch of misfits that kind of grew up together, and we gelled. I mean, I feel like that's how it was back in the day. But we actually beat RBR in a senior year in your Christmas tournament in the finals, and it was the only loss you guys took until the semifinals of the tournament champions. So.
Wow.
What
year was that?
That was 1998, so I was right before you. And then we had a pretty strategic game plan. I remember our coach said our goal was to hold the ball as long as possible because he had 3 D1 players. So we couldn't really let you score, and that was our goal. And I think we held, well, I don't want to tap myself in the back here, but I will. I held your leading score to 17 points for the game.
No, that team was – so I grew up I have fond memories of watching that team. They were loaded. That's like that's like Taj Holden's year.
Yep.
They were
good.
That group was studs.
All right. So listen, listen, like I said from the top, I appreciate you coming on, and I can't lie, being the golf nerd that I am, I did type up some things about you. And if I'm wrong, I want you to correct me.
Okay.
And it's funny you brought up the basketball thing because I made a little side note of interesting facts too. So obviously, Corey Brigham went to Rumson Fairhaven High School, New Jersey State champion in golf. You also, correct me if I'm wrong, won the Monmouth County tournament, the Shore Conference tournament, and you're a 2-time Group 2 champion.
That's correct. I did do all that. My actually proudest moment there is I did it all in 1 year.
Wow.
And and to my knowledge, I'm the only guy that's ever done that. So it's like I guess it's a record that can't be beat, only can be tied until they have another tournament.
Right.
I know our other beloved. That's pretty cool. I kind of hang on to them like Al Bundy, like I kind of, you guys remember him hanging on to my high school glory days. But yes, I did. That is correct.
And then you went on to Baylor.
Correct.
Were there for a year. Went over to Maryland, where you did win one college tournament.
2. I won 2 there.
There you go. See, that's why I need that corrected. And then did we go pro after that?
I did. The big kind of struggle was when to do it. So I waited until the end of that summer of my basic. Would have been my senior year of playing golf. I waited till the end of the summer. Tried to get into a couple things that I fortunately did. I really wanted to play in USAM. I was fortunate I qualified for USAM. I really wanted to win the state AM. I felt like that was important for me. I ended up doing that summer, in 22. 02. So when I did all that, I then decided at that point, I kind of accomplished my goals there that I was looking to do, and time to move on, or at least give it a go.
So am I understanding then you did that going into your senior year at Maryland? and then forego, like left college early, or after, like you graduated in May?
Well, I lost a bunch of credits when I transferred from Maryland or from Baylor to Maryland.
Okay, I'm familiar with transferring in credits.
So unfortunately, they made me take a bunch of classes over that I already took that were just not the way they wanted it done. But so my fifth year, which would have been just a fifth year, I kind of decided probably was not in my best interest to just hang out at school. So I was like, all right, let's see how the summer goes. I'd make my decision if I'd go back or not. And I had a good summer. Like I said, I did the things I was set out to do. So I didn't go back. I ultimately ended up going back and graduating 4 years later after my first 4 years trying to play professional golf. So that was a, shock to the system, but it was pretty cool.
What was that experience like trying to because obviously you win the state am, and I think to some respect, that's even nowadays, that's a super, super competitive tournament with the kids being as good as they are. I mean, once you win that, does it start to say like, I can do it at the next level? And then once you get to that next level, is it like, wow, they're all just like me?
So yes and no. So like when I really wanted to win the state am, it was like an ultimate goal of mine. And every year prior to that, it seemed like something was happening in that tournament that like, it would cause me to lose by a shot, or two shots. Like one year I hit the wrong ball in the third round with my buddy, or fourth round, whatever it was. I ended up losing by 2 shots, and I take a 2-shot penalty. So, I had weird things like that happen. For me, it wasn't like, if I won the state am, then I was good enough to go pro. It was just like, I had a goal set out there that I wanted to accomplish. I kind of knew where my game was from college, like playing against these guys that you or I or whoever may never heard of until I actually played with them. But after I had done that, at that point, I was like, okay, I did what I wanted to do. Now I was like, all right, let me challenge myself further and see if I could, accomplish another goal, which was ultimately to make it on the PGA Tour. I think that's why, if that's not your goal to do it, then you should be doing it. But that's just a wild experience in and of itself. I mean, but no, I didn't say, hey, I've won the state am. Now I'm good. I will tell you this: winning a state am puts you nowhere in the class of a professional golfer. I mean, unless you've done it 15 times, or you're Jeff Thomas who did it 9 times, and that guy is not just an amateur anymore. He's a professional in his craft. So I will say that about it.
So that was definitely a step up going. Like, how big was that step? Like going from junior golf to high school to like obviously Baylor, Maryland, those are huge programs. I'm sure each of those steps were like had their own differences. Like we were talking basketball, like going from freshman to JV to varsity.
Sure.
That step from amateur status to pro status, was that the biggest jump from one to the other? Was that like, how would you put that into?
No, I think so. Like my biggest jump for me was the little bubble of Monmouth County or the Shore Conference or whatever you want to call it, that you could excel in, and your talent pool wasn't as deep. It was going to Baylor my freshman year, which was mind blowing to me because I all of a sudden was on a team with 7 guys that hit it 300 yards, that shoot 68, 69, 65. I mean, Jimmy Walker was our number 1 player. So it's like, this guy's won a major. I'm just this guy that, was really good in New Jersey. And yes, I challenged my game throughout the summer as in my junior golf and went out and played national tournaments. But I mean, there's so many good golfers out there that you've never heard of, and so many people that can, I mean, I don't know, we allowed to curse on this thing. Well, we'll beat your ass if you're not, if you're not paying attention. Right. So, that was the biggest jump for me when I got comfortable there, as that's when I knew I could play anywhere, because those guys were, I mean, look at college kids now. I mean, we got a kid next door, Chris Goddard. I mean, look what he's done. And, he's got filthy talent. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to play with him quite a bit. And I never played against, I guess Jimmy would probably be the one guy I played against in college that was that talented. But these kids now, I watching him his senior year at Oklahoma, And then watching those guys in the final round of the the NCAA championship, and we're all rooting for them and want them to win. And these guys stand up on 18 and they hit it 330 down the middle of the fairway. You're just like, damn. Like I hit a 280 and was like, oh, I'm pretty long.
Right, I piped that one, and I have 50 yards to go. Is a big difference.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's funny.
Huge.
And so obviously being always looking at things and checking things. Did we get hurt, or did you stop playing for a little bit competitively? That after a certain time, that I don't know, in terms of like playing in state events and things like that, because obviously now I see your name popping up way more than normal. Kind of. Did you get hurt?
Yeah, kind of. So I've been a professional golfer a long time now. And I just kind of had that status. A few years ago, I got some good friends that are good amateur golfers, and they have fun. And the one sucky part I'll say about New Jersey golf is that if you're just a professional and you're not a golf professional, or you're not working at a facility, there's really nothing to play in. So, you get the Met Open, you get the U.S. Open, but you have to be affiliated with a club. It's the rule, and they've never wavered from it. Trust me, I've asked them many times, but they won't let you play. So I had a kid a few years ago, so I'm a dad now.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, and so he's awesome. I don't play golf at the level I did. I don't want to say that completely, but it's a little more sporadic. So. Like most of us, we take on the real world. So I decided to get my amateur status back. Unfortunately, I broke my arm 2 years ago playing with my niece in the street. I fell on her hoverboard. I hate to tell this story, but so it was like a freak accident. I broke it really bad, and I chipped off a piece of the elbow joint, and I had to have 2 surgeries. And so that's why I haven't been playing and kind of haven't been around. And then this year I don't know. I kind of mentioned it in the article when I won the Pub Links. I've been working with a buddy of mine, the teaching professional up in Knickerbocker, Aaron Asadio, and great guy, great teacher, and kind of joking around this winter with him that, hey man, if you got enough time, that's an understatement. He's an awesome teacher. He's got a ton of great players he teaches. I'm just some guy that's now a dad to a 2-year-old, right? And I'm like, hey man. If you got any time in there, I'm curious. I'd love to see what you think of my swing. I used to be a great ball striker. I want to do that again. So we set out a mission, to kind of get back to where I was, and that's really what my success has come from this year. And I'm excited about it because I've really been playing injured all year. I've been playing through it. It's not first time I've ever had to really do this, and it sucks. Trust me, because it's not fun. I don't hit it nearly as far as I did. And as I get older every day, I'm probably gonna hit it shorter. So it's kind of like a fastball pitcher that used to throw 98, and now I got to work some junk in there. So it's, but it's been cool because we've made some crazy progress that I didn't see coming. So I'm hoping to build on that at some point somehow this winter, and maybe do better next year.
So it's funny you bring up Aaron, because I've like you, I have 2 little girls. I got a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I've just now gotten to the point where I have more free time to play. And the competitive scene has always been something that, I've enjoyed to do. And I was fortunate to qualify for the state open this year, and I played with Aaron.
Nice.
Awesome fucking dude. Okay?
Yeah, great
awesome
guy.
Dude. And not only, I always thought, some of the guys that are pros, they're hard to talk to. They're not, willing to help out and engage. But I can't lie, playing with him for 2 rounds, dude, and even after that, talking to him through Instagram and different outlets, he's been so open and just willing to spitball things to me and different things. I can just back you up in saying that. I just knew him for 2 rounds of golf, quality guy.
100%, man. If you're looking for somebody to take a lesson from, and at least pick a brain, you could probably talk to him all day. He's incredibly knowledgeable. He actually keyed on something with me that really nobody's ever keyed on, and I've taken a lot of lessons. I wouldn't say I've taken a ton of lessons from a bunch of different teachers, but I've worked hard on my golf swing. I've kind of never tried to really sway from or vary too far away from, what I'm good at. And that's like one of the things that I appreciated the most about our conversations was he wasn't trying to take that away from me. He's like, look, man, this is your strength. This is what you do. So let's try to clean it up, and that's what I'm getting out of him. Besides, we've been friends for a long time. So it's kind of easy, but at the same time, there's a couple occasions where I was a little bit too questioning and kind of like, hey, what do you mean by that? He's like, look, dude, just shut up and listen to what I'm telling you. Just swing the golf club, do what the fuck I'm saying, and you're gonna be fine. And next thing you know, it's like boom, 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 boom. As much as I don't like it, I start striping it, and then I look back and I'm like, hey, how was that? And he's like, are you really asking me that? And I'm like, well, yeah. I guess it's been a while, like I haven't seen it fly like that in a while. So, but it's been fun, man. And Aaron's a great dude, and I can't say enough good things about all the help he's given me, and beyond appreciative. So I've tried to share the glory with him. I know it's probably tough being a good teacher and a good player and trying to like balance the two, but yeah, he's always definitely pumped for you for sure.
That's great. Corey, you had mentioned something kind of like being a good ball striker as you were little. What's your youth golf like? Were you a country club kid, or were you jumping around at different public courses? Like, what's your did you grow up at dad taking you to the club or anything like that? Not that that's ever like a bad thing, but like what's the
I'm probably like one of the luckiest guys in the world, in a sense, because my dad was a golf professional. So I was fortunate enough to spend my entire childhood at Rumson Country Club, and they were kind enough to let me abuse the place till my hands would bleed. So there probably a few people here and there that didn't like the amount of divots I took out of the range, but it didn't stop me. And then we were never, I'm not a member there. I wasn't a member there. My father wasn't a member there, but he was the golf professional there for 22 years. They treated us like family. And I got great friends from there. But I've never actually been a physical member at a club. Gotcha. So I would say in a sense that's been like a good experience and also a bad experience. In a way, like I got the ability to, do what most kids that have trouble making it do is having access to a facility. It's probably the hardest thing that a guy or girl or whatever inspiring athlete wants to do is getting, enough training. You might be a good basketball player and go down to the park and shoot hoops all day, but what are you getting out of that at the end of the day besides repetition? So, I grew up playing a lot of public golf courses along with, playing at Rumson, but I also was fortunate in the sense that I played a ton of tournament golf in the Met area, or I say the Met area, but Jersey, Connecticut, Long Island. It's just endless. So, that was kind of the upbringing I had. It was definitely, I would say, fortunate. But you're a product of your environment. I didn't, when my dad married my mom and he became a golf pro and all that stuff, I don't think I was in the picture. But
but I think that also speaks to when you have the resources that you're willing to tap into them. Because sometimes we all take for granted, and I think without being in a sense like belonging to a club, I always like to say like, guys that are members at certain spots are typically very good at those courses. But the minute they step off those courses, the game doesn't travel. So one of the things I always, and when Ryan and I played, I said, like, the one thing that I value the most about my golf game is that wherever I play, it comes with me. I'm not just going to go play X course and shoot 72 because I just know where I can miss it. Like, when I travel, the game comes with me. And I think that's kind of a good thing in terms of like someone like you that's able to play in all these different tournaments, because not only are you going, but the games come with you.
Oh, that's everything, man. If your game can travel, then you are an accomplished golfer. Forget about, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I know plenty of guys that can play at their home track and then you bring them somewhere else and they can't get out of their own way. Golf's a crazy game, man. It's a mind fuck, to be honest. You get one day here and one day there, and you feel like the same person, but it's a total different outcome. So I mean, that's what it always was for me. When, you know, you asked earlier what the biggest challenge from one level to the next was. I mean, my golf game traveling from high school to college was the hardest thing I ever did. At least as, you know, however long my golf career has been, that's been the toughest. And it wasn't because I couldn't play, you know, Cottonwood, which was our home golf course at Baylor. And it wasn't because I didn't hit as good as Jimmy Walker. It was because I had never been exposed to so many good players that were like A, on my team, and B, that I played with every day. Mm-hmm. So learning how to like go wake up every morning and beat those guys was not easy. And it made me better for it. I will tell you, when I got home after my freshman year of college, I sucked. I mean, I couldn't really beat anybody. It was the worst summer I had, and it was really because my game was traveling. I was learning how to make it travel, and I was learning how to go from, you know, this crazy thick Bermuda golf course over here to this bent grass over here, and you know, I got top 10 kids over here, and then, you know, you're playing in one that's, you know, no one's in the top 10, and you're like, okay, well, I should beat these guys, but you know, you don't. So I mean, I think that if you ask any guy that's really played a top level golf, I mean, they 100% take pride in the fact that their game can travel. I mean, you'll hear people talk about it all the time. If your game can travel, you're deadly.
And I think, does that, when you think back to the public links this year, and you're talking about like golf being so hard, you know, like obviously, you know, I'm like I said, listen, I'm always checking scores, seeing how guys are doing, and if I have any sort of contact, I'm always texting them saying, hey, good round, whatever. But I think when you look at your pub links, I would obviously think that your familiarity with Homony's got to be very high. So, you know, or somewhat that you've played it growing up.
Sure.
But talk about like how you go from 75 in the opening round to then completely flipping a switch and then firing 66, because that's crazy.
Well, it looks crazy. It looks crazier than it was. Like, so the 75 really wasn't a 75, and I just kind of kept trying to tell myself that. I mean, I first hole, I striped it off the tee. I hit a way better tee shot than I was expecting. I had a lot closer into the green than I was expecting. And I tried, you know, I was kind of between clubs, and the air was heavy, and it just, nothing felt right. And I hit a bad shot, and I made a bogey. And then I watched this young kid next to me I was playing with, and he's just pure. And like, I think he might have birdied one. I can't really remember, but he made it look really easy. And I was like, oh, damn. So I got off to kind of this sluggish start where, you know, I'm like thinking to myself, like, is this the kid that's going to win? Like, I gotta get my shit together here, because he's got me by like 5 shots through like 4 holes. So, you know, I just kind of say to myself the same thing I always do, like, you know, just stay the course, be patient, stick to your game plan, which has always been the same thing. I mean, I got one remedy to good golf, or one recipe, and if you stick to it, you're always going to play well. So, I actually started to kind of get into a groove, and I had just got a new putter. I haven't switched putters in like a really long time, and I've been kind of searching for the last couple of years, but I've always played the same head shape, same style putter, and nothing was working. And then my buddy who works at Odyssey, or Callaway, sent me this Odyssey putter, and I'm like, man, this thing's unbelievable. And I kept lipping out, and I must have lipped out 7 or 8 times for birdie in the last 14 holes, like, not even kidding. And the kid I'm playing with, he's looking at me, he's like, damn, man, he's like, I'm starting to feel for you, right? So some of them are gnarly, some of them are over the edge, you know, whatever. And I said, screw it, man. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to make these this round. I'm not going to miss them. I'm going to make them. And sure enough, I birdied 3, I think, of the first 4 or 5 holes or something like that. And they started going in, and that was really the difference. It wasn't any more than that. So, but that's always the difference, you know, like, yeah, it looks like a lot. I mean, if I really broke the round down to you, it would probably, you know, should have been 62. But that's just like, that's just me. That's just like me just nitpicking stuff that I shouldn't be nitpicking. I mean, I played a phenomenal round of golf. I made a couple bogeys that were totally avoidable. You know, I just got overly aggressive. But I just kept sticking to my game plan, and you know, every time I go play golf, I do the same thing. I just try to hit the fairway. I try to hit on the green, and that's it. And not try to hit it over a bunker, or not try to, you know, be 320 yards down this way. I just try to hit in the fairway, and then I try to hit on the green. And if that all goes to plan, it then just becomes a matter of making putts. So I had a teacher for a long time, and he used to tell me, Corey, this game's only as hard as you make it. So you better figure out a way to make it easy. And that was really the only way I could make it easy, was hit in the fairway, hit on the green, see what happens.
That's some sound, really like sage level advice there.
Yeah. Just simple.
It's Hall of Fame type material is what that is.
That's one of the things, like, I do Mike's very good. I'm decent at best. I'm a 12 handicap, and I see so many people that want to like try to like draw it around things or kind of fade it around, and I'm like, you got wide open. Like, there's nothing in your way. It's different if there's something in your way. Like, just hit it straight, get it in the fairway, and then get it on the green. And that seems like such a simple thing, but so many times I think the average amateur is trying to overcomplicate things. And as you said, it's a simple game when you just try to hit the fairway, try to hit the green.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a question of advice for an amateur, I mean, that's literally all it is. I will say I was fortunate to have some incredible information bestowed upon me when I was playing by, my father. He played on the PGA Tour in 1978, and his best friend, who played on the PGA Tour for 8 years, was the only two guys I took lessons from. And, his best friend was this. I mean, whenever he would say something to you related to golf, you would look at you'd actually stand there and go, man, am I dumb or something? Like, what, like, how do I not know that? Like, how do I not realize that? And look, these are all the things that he would tell me. He said, look, you have a 5-pound bag of bricks sitting on your shoulders at the beginning of the round. The idea is, can you make this bag lighter, or are you going to make it heavier? And nobody wants to make it heavier. But when you start trying to carry a tree line, or you start trying to challenge a bunker, or you start trying to, flag a shot that you have no business trying to flag, or knock the pin down, that's where trouble sneaks in. And I mean, I'm not immune to it. I'm as guilty as the next guy. I just like to think that I'm telling myself the right things, and telling yourself what you should do versus your body actually performing that is two different things. But I mean, if you're right, if a golfer would just look at the situation, they were big Ben Hogan guys, and Ben Hogan used to walk the golf course backwards before he played every tournament. And he would start on the 18th green, and he'd walk down the fairway, and he would stand there on the 18th green and say, where do I want to come in from on this hole? And he would then walk to that spot, and then he would walk to the tee box, and he would figure out what he needed to hit to get it to that spot. So he played the entire golf course backwards. But when he really broke it down, all he was doing was trying to hit in the fairway and then trying to hit it on the green. And then you might not be a great putter. You might be a phenomenal putter, but what's the worst you're really going to do? You're going to miss by 2 or 3 feet at most. So, and that's on a bad putt. At the end of the day, if you hit in the fairway and you hit on the green, I mean, how bad you're really going to play?
Right. You can make accidental birdies by doing that.
Well, it happens all the time, man. Trust me.
So obviously, I don't want to hold you here all night, because listen, we're two guys that could sit here and talk forever.
Probably.
We really are. I mean, literally, we recorded episode 2 last night, and it was like we're sniffing 2.5 hours just talking New Jersey golf. So it's kind of crazy. So I don't want to hold you too long, but I guess there's 2 questions that we kind of like want to look at here and see where you're at. Like, if I asked you first, thinking about the state of New Jersey, and thinking about basically public courses and semi-private courses that the average guy can get on. Give us maybe a track that you've played that may be a little bit unknown or outside the box that you would recommend.
Okay. All right. So one that I don't know why yes, it's close to me, but I call it the Fort Sun Eagles. It's a public golf course, but it's an old Tillinghast, and I don't know how many people in New Jersey are familiar with it. I'm pretty sure most people in Monmouth County are familiar with it. It's 100% one of my favorite courses to play, and the reason is because there's so many classic Tillinghast characteristics to it, but B, you hit every golf club in your bag, and I know it's not. For me, that's I have a lot of fun when I do that. I played a few tournaments out at Bethpage Black, and yeah, it's a great golf course, but it's literally driver 5-iron every hole, pretty much. that kind of gets boring. I mean, I played at Shinnecock. Yes, I like Shinnecock, but I mean, again, it's driver, 5-iron, you're pounding the ball. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up at Rumson. It wasn't the longest course, so I kind of gravitate towards those. I mean, Hominy, obviously, it's got so much history there. It's pretty cool. I mean, I do believe I'm biased in our shore area. We have, in my opinion, the best public golf courses. I mean, you go out to Charleston Springs, which isn't far from here. That's a pretty sweet spot. I will tell you one that I am looking forward to playing is up at Tamarack. They just redid the I can't remember. I think it's the West course. I don't want to misquote this here, but there's like an East and a West or something, and I believe they just had Reese Jones come in and redo it. Yeah. That's where we played the Public Links qualifier, and then a few holes you looked over. I mean, that place looked unbelievable. I mean, this isn't a secret, but you can go up to the Crystal Springs area up there, and there's a handful of good ones up there that you can play. So, I mean, is there really any secrets out there? I don't know if there's any secrets anymore. I think the game's become really popular the last few years, which is cool to see. I think a lot of people have been playing the game that would have never played it. Now, these are the people that we would want to say, hey, man, if you're not a member anywhere, dude, go play Sun Eagles. Have a good time. Go play Hominy Hill. Check that out. Go up to Crystal Springs in the fall and play in the trees, and it's got a whole new peaceful atmosphere about it that you're not going to get down here. I think it was bought, but there used to be a pretty cool spot down in near Atlantic City. I think I'm pretty sure the Union League of Philadelphia purchased it, though. Am I mistaken there?
No, you're right. The old Sand Barons.
Yeah, the Sand Barons. That used to be a cool little spot to go to. So you could kind of like travel the whole state of Jersey, and you could find a golf course that was accessible to you that had all these different conditions to it that, you're probably not going to get in many other states, right? I mean, go up to New York, and New York's there's no ocean view golf in New York. There's no, link style. There might be, but it'd be a little generic. But I think we got a great state, man. We have so many hidden gems out there that you can.
It was the East Course at Tamarack that they just redid.
East Course, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so it looks awesome, man. It looks really good. I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing what they've done. I mean, I know they spent millions on it.
Big time.
I would tell everybody that is looking for a decent spot when that opens up to spend your money there. You'll have a good time.
So that's actually the first time I broke 80 was at the East Course there. So this is going back 10 years ago, so it's well before. I love that you said Sun Eagles, because I've been saying there and Old Orchard, the bones to those courses are as good as they get. And Old Orchard is, it's struggling. I wish someone would come in there and take care of it, but honestly, I think that just needs some TLC. And it does. As far as just the course goes, it doesn't. The bones there are great, and Sun Eagles is fantastic as well. So I wish it would stay public. I think they're going eventually to be a private place, but man, I hear you on that one, because I love that one just as much as any place.
I mean, it's kind of sad in a sense that like golf is, some of these areas are closing down. I mean, I've seen, first of all, I mean, screw you, Amazon, right? Like, I mean, we don't have a driving range near us anymore because Amazon came in and bought Twin Brooks, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that was our closest spot to go to, and it seems like so much that's happening that like good public golf is slowly but surely being bought out for homes. Mm-hmm. And I hope that maybe some of your message you guys sending out there will ring a chord with somebody too, and like might make them, I don't know, maybe there's somebody really rich listening that wants to buy Old Orchard because you're spot on.
I tell you,
I mean, it's got sick bones.
It really does. And like, I've been inside that clubhouse. The 1927 Yankees had their end of season party there. So like in that little veranda there's like that par 4 over the water there, like the island green there. There's a picture of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig from the tee box there, that they're just smoking cigar, like stuff like that. I nerd over history stuff, so that's really cool.
Oh man, I'm with you. I hope that never goes away. It's sad to think that it might one day. I don't know. It's been cool to watch golf grow, but at the same time, you kind of ask yourself, like, golf's growing, but the courses aren't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we don't new public courses popping up everywhere. And if Sun Eagles goes private, man, that sucks for everybody around here.
No
you know, and it's as much as you understand the business side of it, it's at the same time, it's like, if you love the game and you love, you know, watching people enjoy the game, you don't want to see that happen. You know, like, you want everybody to have access to a good time. I think that's what kind of, you know, makes our game unique, is that me, you, and Mike, and we can all play together, and we can all come from a different place and a different background and have different abilities, but we can all still have a good time out there. And I think that's like the number one thing about public golf. It's just a testament to the game and public access and everything that goes along with it. It's pretty cool stuff.
So just obviously, you know, again, doing some research, Dye Preserve.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to play it.
Okay.
So my mom and dad live down in Jupiter. So
Sure.
Obviously all the tracks that are down there are endless. And working over it, I've been a caddy since I'm 13. I'm 38 now. So at Manasquan River, you obviously make connections with different guys over there.
Sure.
My family was a member over there. So like, that's where I kind of grew up playing. And I've been fortunate enough to play over there. So when I saw that on something of yours,
I'm not sure how the Dye Preserve came up, but it did. And I got a job. I just applied for it, got a job. I caddied there a little bit. And I also worked on the outside ops a little bit. So I would valet cars when I wasn't caddying, and you would valet for the members. And a couple of them were cool. You just get to know them, and you're parking their really sick car, and they're like, yeah, don't wreck that thing. And you're like, don't worry, man, I'll do my best to park it 10 feet from here. But so you would build these relationships, and then you would get to caddy for them on the golf course, and you get to know them, they get to know you a little bit. And I guess that's how it all kind of came about. And then, from there, I had gone to Sabonic, actually. And Sabonic's how I made my way to Seminole. So when I was at the Dye Preserve, this new golf course, Sabonic, was coming about. This was, I guess, back in like 08 or something, 07. And all everybody knew was that it was $1 million to join. And then they bought the land right next to National. Well, some of the guys said, hey, they're looking for caddies, man. You want to go out there? And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. The Hamptons, why not? I mean, I was playing some golf, but I wasn't playing a huge tournament schedule. I was doing about 5 or 6 events in the summer. Money was tight, and I went there, and I just befriended the right member. And he said, well, what are you doing this winter? And I was like, man, I don't have any plans, but you know what I'd really love to do? And he's like, what's that? And I said, I would love to go work at Seminole. So it turned out that, he was best friends with Bob Ford. And the irony of it all is Bob Ford and my dad played their first professional round of golf. I think so. Either my dad's first professional round of golf or both their first professional rounds of golf together. I'm not sure what it was, but he knew who I was, and he was like, oh, Corey, we'd love to have you down here. So without hesitation, I was like, I'll when you want me, and that was probably to date the greatest job I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, there's so many times like that caddying kind of jumps from one thing to the other, and it's just like who you meet. Like that, golf is such a great sport in that way. And if you're a young kid getting into caddying, that's just like your journey. Like there's so many kids that have it. Same with Mike, who's been doing it for so long. He's got so many guys that he knows that it breeds on itself. It's really great in me
Listen, it's a great networking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I as a, Ryan and I are both teachers, and me being a gym teacher, it's kind of like, I always tell the kids, because you see every kid in gym class, I constantly say, like, if you're looking for a summer job and you're willing to put the work in and you're willing to put some hours in, because in the beginning it can be difficult. I said, I tell you what, like 25 years later, me being 38, it is the best, not only best summer job in terms of what you can make and the hours that you want to create, but the people that you meet, it's endless. It's endless. It's opened up so many doors for someone like me who has been fortunate to have family at different spots and play different places, but the doors have opened up even more to an extent where I never thought that was possible, but just by being a good person, caddying, being social, and the game of golf, you know,
it's golf's the ultimate equalizer between the rich and the poor. And you know, I started caddying when I was 12 years old. And you know, whenever I wanted anything, my dad would say, "Well, get your ass out there and go carry some bags." That's his reply to me. So I did. Yes, I got some good loops at a young age. So I definitely lucked out there, but it was like a skill that like got me. If it wasn't for caddying, like I don't know if the rest of it ever would have happened. And you know, I have to give homage to caddying probably more so than and almost anything else. It's kind of where I fell in love with the game. It's kind of where I learned to understand the game. It's kind of where I learned to work hard. Like Mike's saying, I mean, dude, you can make so much money. I mean, my buddies in high school were buying cars with the money they were making. They were, you know, spending 36 a day on the weekend. Their parents were letting them out for out of school for outings and stuff. And you know, it's the only place where you're going to get a guy that had $4,000 in his bank account walking down the ferry with the guy who was worth about 3 or 4 billion. You know, which is really the guy I befriended. You know, and here I am, a lonely mini tour player with really no money in the bank and just trying to scrape by enough money to get another entry fee and to hopefully I play well and, you know, score a big check and take some of the pressure off of it. And here's this multi-billionaire guy who's just your average Joe out there on the grass. I mean, I'm more talented than he is. And to be honest with you, he probably would have paid all of his billions to be as good at golf as I was. So, I mean, it's like you say, Mike, I mean, so many crazy things can come from it. And it's, you know, you learn about life, you learn about how to be a man, you learn about, you know, what it's like to be a father just by listening to these guys, the struggles that they go through in work and business. And, you know, they'll vent about that on the golf course because their wives don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? So it was like a real giant dose of life thrown in my face at a young age. And I kind of embraced it and, you know, I ran with it, but, you know, fortunately I love the game of golf, so it made it a little easier. But it really is, if you got a kid out there and you want to get them into the game and this is a phenomenal way to do it is send them down the caddy yard and make them sit there for 6 weeks. Trust me, you don't do anything for 6 weeks and then you finally get a loop and you got some money in your hand after 4.5 hours. It's a big life lesson. So
it's so funny you say that because growing up like you, I was fortunate to get some good loops early, but even, you know, the kids don't always see it. Like I was there on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when we were in college, just sitting there for like 3-4 hours, you know, so like they don't see that. What? Pre-cell phone.
Pre-cell phone. That's right, man. Way pre-cell phone.
Yeah. So I think I think just like anything, dude, it's like life. If you put the work in and you work hard, you may not see the results instantly. And I know that's kind of the world we live in, but you'll reap the benefits down the road. And that's kind of what I've tried to tell kids nowadays. Like, hey, listen, you're not going to make what I make per bag right now, but I'm also 25 years in. I'm 38. I was making $20 a bag. You're not when you get one bag. Yeah, I know. And if you got 20, you know, if you got 25, it's like lunch is on me. Lunch is on me.
And also telling you how long you've been doing it, man, because it's wow. Right. Yeah. Now they pay a lot of money now.
Yeah. So now it's a different story. And I say to them all the time, like, even if you get one bag, you're making way, way more than I was. And I'm glad that you are. But let's not lose sight of, like, you still got to put the time and effort into doing it. It's just like the game of golf. Like, you put the time and effort in, you know, you may not see the results right away, but you will.
Right. It comes back tenfold as you put the time
tenfold.
In. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's easy to give back when it says, you know, you enter the tournament and it says, hey, you know, donate for the caddy scholarship. You know, it's not hard to, you know, $25, $50, whatever. I mean,
no doubt.
You know, you play in 10 tournaments, it's $200-300. So, you know what I mean? But it's always there. And every time I look at it, you know, I when I see those entry fees, I'm like, you know, hey man, That's how it's going to change somebody's life, and it definitely changed mine and some of my friends. And, like I said, if you can expose your children to it, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah. Corey, you mentioned like being a struggling, young professional golfer, having to bounce around, like caddying at those couple places. We don't need to get into like the political landscape of golf with like PGA and Live, but how, from someone who's been in that, how are some of those new changes the PGA is putting in? Truly, how great are they to do? They put in like the minimum that each kid's gonna get $5,000 a tournament entry and all that kind of stuff. Like, give an insight on how helpful that's going to be.
You raise a good question. I mean, it's really difficult for a guy coming out there to be successful, not because he's not good enough, and it's not because he's never traveled before. It's because the immense amount of pressure for them to perform, not only physically but financially. I mean, you're talking about these tournaments that are being played not being played at a sea-level golf course in a small, low-level market city. It's high-end stuff where they're around high-end people, and there's money being thrown around all over the place. And if you're feeling like you're not making any, man, it's a stress that is, it's a performance-based job. So, I think it's about time they've done this. I will say that, if you really deep dive into the whole thing, this is all that's happening is what Norman tried to do 30 years ago. And I remember when this was going on, because I had some discussions with my dad about it. He did play on the PGA Tour, and his career earnings were about $5-7 grand or something like that. So, out of 19 golf tournaments, imagine that, and you're just like, he actually quit because he had kids, and he's like, I can't do both. So, but life was, again, so different back then. And I just think the sport has evolved to the place now where, these guys are bringing in money, whoever they are. And the PGA Tour and the Live Tour and the DP Tour and the Canadian Tour and all these tours, they don't happen without the players. You can say, oh yeah, I'm having this tour, but if the guys aren't showing up because they can't afford to show up, and they're the ones with the talent, then they're definitely being slighted and shortchanged. So I'm all for the changes the PGA Tour is making. I think they should do more. If it's really a nonprofit, then why is he making so much money? But that's a whole different story for another day.
Why does it seem like that? All nonprofits, the CEO or the president's $10 million.
It does, man. And I'm pulling hard for this, for Christopher Goddard, and
100%.
It'd be really cool to see him, a guy from our area, just be really super successful. He has all the tools, but I also know at the same time, like, it's not easy when I'm traveling, and having a little breathing room of not having to worry about, hey, if I miss the cut this week, I don't make any money. That takes a huge pressure off you. At my level I was playing, they were never giving out $5,000 checks, but you would if you played well. But at the back end of that, you're slamming your trunk after 2 rounds, and you're driving up the road 8 hours, and you're just doing nothing but sitting there thinking about how you just wasted $2,500 on the week.
Yeah.
And it's like really hard to get yourself mentally prepared for the next week, and being like, hey, put that behind you. You're good, you got it. And that's really the mental grind.
Yeah.
And it might be a little different out there because they got sponsorships and stuff now, but no, you're not wrong, man. It's a nice thing that they're doing. I hope this evolves to even more for these guys. And I just hope that as a result, more young kids see it and want to be good golfers, because now that there's 2 tours, we're going to need some good players to come up to make up for some of the other ones.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
I
remember hearing something. I can't, like, there's got to be hundreds, if not thousands, of good golfers who have been in your shoes or other shoes. I know Max Homa is another one. I listened to an interview with him recently where he's like, I wasn't making cuts, so I wasn't making money, but I still had to pay for my hotel, my flight, my car, my gas, my caddy, my swing coach, like all these things. And it's just, yeah, I think it's about time that they did it. So interesting insight from someone who's been through it, and like, yeah, I mean,
I can give you a good example of the difference of how easy it would be to perform. So one summer I was playing on the New England tour, and this is not a knock on the guy whatsoever, because I love him. He's a great guy. I was playing with Sean O'Hare, and he was on our tour. This was right before. So we had gone to Q school one year. I can't remember what year it was, and we were in second stage, and myself, I was inside the number, 1 round to go. DJ Trahan, who's a tour winner, was inside the number. We had played golf against each other in college, ACC. And then Sean O'Hare never turned pro, or never went to college. He turned pro at 18. I don't know if you're familiar with his story, but he instead of going to college, he thing with his dad, whatever. Again, a whole long drawn out thing. But so we ended up all missing qualifying school, the third stage back then. I missed by a shot, DJ missed by a shot, and Sean O'Hare missed by 2 shots. And Sean ended up playing the tour that I decided to go up and play New England on that summer. And he fortunately had a lot of backing, and he drove around in a brand new 30-foot motorhome all throughout New England, and really had no care in the world, except filling up the thing with gas, So he really went out there every week knowing, hey, this is just a matter of time for me. I got all this in the world. And you would watch guys that were definitely more talented and better players at the time. He was young. This was like 19 or 20 years old. And they just couldn't get over the hurdle of, hey man, I got to make a check this week. Like I got to make 10 grand because I'm $5 grand back on my credit card payment, like I'm maxing out this one. And I mean, I had friends that did it, they would max out credit cards playing golf tournaments. And you're just like, damn, that's a huge risk. And you're over here watching a guy in his motorhome with the little, the shade thing down after the round, and his girlfriend or his wife, sitting there making dinner, and you're like, shit, man, I got to go hit some putts because I had too many 3 putts today, like just a different world. And that's when I was kind of like, man, it really was a wide awake opening where, like, you don't have it. It's really tough to make it. So it's nice to see, and hopefully it continues for these guys.
And at 1920, he doesn't have any real cares in the world anyway.
No. Fairways and greens, man. That's it. Fairways and greens.
Court, this has been awesome. I don't want to take up all of your night. I'm sure your 2-year-old's in bed, but I don't know if he sleeps through the night for you yet. But
no, he's doing well, man. I that's the other thing, dude. I lucked out.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
No, I lucked out, man.
I know the night struggles are like, though.
Yeah, no, he went through waves. I mean, parenthood's definitely everything cool that people said it would be, and it's a lot of fun. But right now we're in a good stage. He's a good kid, so he's not in the golf yet, a little bit, but he knows I like it. But we're hopefully get there. But if not, then hey, man, it's been a long, hard road. So if he didn't have to go through it, I would be okay with that too.
But as we're wrapping here, like, what is there something that you're superstitious about on the golf course that you're less superstitious enough to tell us? So you have a certain amount of teas in your pocket or anything like that. Like, what's something like quirky that you're like, this is probably weird, but I'm going to do it anyway?
So I got a thing with coins. I have to have a certain coin. I won't play with a coin higher than year 67, a quarter, higher than year 67. But my best friend lives in Costa Rica. They use colones down there, and they have more coins than we do. There happens to be like a 20 colones, which is it's like a big like silver coin, but it's worth like 5 cents. But it was like one of the first coins I ever had. It has my birth year on it. It's like 1980. So I play with that coin a lot. I kind of I don't know. I guess you could say that over the years I've tried to keep the same coin playing as much as possible. I used to do the same with my divot tools, to replace the pitch marks in the green. Mm-hmm. I had to stop doing that though, because they'd get so sharp, they'd poke you in the pocket after hundreds of rounds of use. They'd be like knives. Yeah. So, and then I probably my last one is a towel. Like I'll use a towel and until I feel like it's out of good shots. Like, you know, like you wipe off all the good shots out of your clubs, and then I'll get rid of it. But there's never usually a time limit on that, because when I was a kid, I had one for so long that I got a staph infection from it. So that was pretty wild. I was like blowing my nose with it, and you know, I probably hadn't cleaned it in like 3 years, and I wash it now, but ever since then I wash it. But I will keep the same towel around for a long time. I'd probably say I would think those are my biggest superstitions.
Okay.
Well, listen, I just to kind of end this and wrap it up. Listen, we had no idea how long this would go. And when I DM people like, trying to get them on and as guests, I'm like, listen, I just want to get like 20 or 30 minutes to talk shop. And, you know, you've been kind enough to give us over an hour. So I just want to thank you, especially being the first one to come on here. You know, Ryan and I just kind of toss out some things, and it's been a very easy and flowing conversation. So I appreciate you coming on here, being the first one. Hopefully one of many in our eyes. So I just want to thank you.
Absolutely, man. I know it's been fun, guys. I appreciate it. You know, I'm like I said, man, I'm all about Jersey golf. So if we didn't really deep dive into the private clubs, maybe one day we do that too, and I'll give you a top 5 there I got, which is, you know, I mean, they're definitely fortunate for those. But
give me number 1.
Well, it's not Pine Valley. We know that.
Just give me number. Yeah, no, it's not Pine Valley.
No, not Pine Valley. Number 1 in Jersey.
Yep, just strictly Jersey.
Damn. Well, the redo at the lower, I'm pretty impressed with at Baltusrol. Okay. I will tell you this though, like I was never a huge Baltusrol guy. I mean, it's a great facility. Don't get me wrong; it's a top-notch golf course, but it never stood out. The one that always stood out to me was Essex County Country Club. So, yeah. That's
no offense. We probably could have a 3-hour conversation about private courses.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many. I mean,
I'm a massive fan of Hollywood. I mean, that's where I won the state am, obviously. So I'm a little biased, but it's phenomenal. I mean, there's so many gems out there. Yeah. It just really is. Yeah. But
well, I'll tell you what, we're going to hold you to that.
It.
We're going to hold you to that. You're going to come back on. We'll talk private courses next time.
Yeah, fun fact about Corey, he can talk a dog off a dump truck. So if you need me, you got me.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate everything. I really do.
Absolutely.
For sure. Thanks so much, Corey.
All right, boys. Yeah, hey, we'll have to get out there one day too, man. Don't be afraid. We'll tee it up over Sun Eagles and have a good time.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
As long as we get a lot of shots, I'm all for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. We'll do whatever.
Sounds good, pal.
All right, boys. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Take
Corey.
care.
Have a good night. All right.
Yeah,
see ya.
This episode was brought to you by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger, a law firm where results matter. Since 1985, the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger has been helping people throughout New Jersey find the right strategies to effectively address their legal problems. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too.